Call to order the Personnel Committee on February 28th, 2018. I'm your Chairman, Mark Grimm. What I'd like to do is have the members here introduce themselves because this is a reconstituted committee. And one of the things I want to focus on is making sure anyone who might be watching us on video, making our committees a little easier to understand as we go along. So I'm going to be adding some of those things. One of the things I want to ask is everyone who speaks at this committee to state their name and title, in case people may not know. It's just a coincidence. One of the most famous people in Albany County is our first guest today. But I want to do that as a rule, just so it'd be easier for people to follow. As I say, I'm Mark Grimm. I'm from the 29th District in the town of Gilderland.
I'm Lindley Haggis. I'm from the 8th District, town of City of Albany.
Allison McLean Lane, 14th Legislative District, consisting of the Village of Manaus, the City of Watervliet, and the hamlet of Loudonville.
I would like to know who this man is. Go ahead, would you? Do you
I'm a
mind?
Bureau staff member, thank you.
Where are we going now?
Yeah,
Okay.
Lucy?
I'm Lucy McKnight from the 1st Legislative District in Albany.
Ray Joyce, 13th. Brian Russell, Council.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to first,
Tim here?
okay.
He's not here?
All right, Tim
Yeah,
Ferraro.
Tim,
staff.
minority.
Okay. I want to
That's
first
Tim Ferraro. I never
approve the
knew the
minutes.
name.
I want to make a motion to approve the minutes. Anyone have any questions at all? Need a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Second.
Second? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous? Okay, I just also want to, he's not here though, I want to thank Sean Ward, who's been chairman of this committee previously, and I want to thank him for his distinguished service to this committee. All of us and the citizens of Albany are grateful for that fine service. Bob Heston too.
Bob
And Bob
Heston.
Heston also, yeah. Okay. All right, the first item is authorizing the Albany County Sheriff to consider out-of-county applicants for the positions of part-time paramedics and part-time emergency medical technicians for the county's advanced life support and EMT programs. Sheriff Apple.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. This is a continuous recruitment effort we go through every, actually, all year long. We have a hard time filling our EMT and paramedic positions from residents within the county, so we've had to start to go outside the county. The resolution that authorizes that expires April 1 of 18, so I'm back asking to continue it for another year.
Any questions?
Sheriff, I know every year we have the same concern as you speak about. I remember once we had applicants, someone who wanted, I think he was a psychiatrist from France, Paris, France, or somewhere, wanted to work at our county jails. We would like to have them local. Is there anything we could do to educate and help us in our recruitment better? It seems like we're having a hard time getting
Well,
professionals for your office.
I can tell you, we have a variety of social media accounts within our department.
Okay.
We blast everything out constantly. We deal with REMO, which is the area organization that oversees all medical care. They blast it out all over for us. Civil service has been tremendous in helping us promote it. We just can't get the applicants, and quite honestly, the salary is not as high in Albany County as it is in some of the
Other
surrounding
places,
areas.
yeah.
So we can't draw them in. If the EMT is in here for $13.50 or $14, and they can go to Greenport for $18 or $19, they're going to go to Greenport. So we've had decent luck taking in out-of-county folks as EMTs and paramedics, and hopefully that it'll evolve into a full-time and maybe move into the county. Who knows? But we're trying everything. I would like to take county residents as well, and obviously that's our preference and our highest priority. But we just have really bad luck in this area.
So what agency is the biggest trainer of all the EMT specialists as well as paramedics in this area? Who
Which
trains them?
agency is the biggest trainer?
Yeah, who
It's
trains
probably
them?
falling under us at this point because of our
Oh.
turnover rate.
Okay.
So we are constantly running EMT classes. We don't do a paramedic class. Usually they'll come out of Hudson Valley or one of the
Hudson Valley Community
higher ed institutions. But a lot of our folks also always have a dream of being a paid professional firefighter or whatever, and they've got to be an EMT as part of it. So they'll get their EMT, they'll
okay.
do a stopgap fill for us, and then eventually get called to an area fire department. So it's the salary isn't everything. I mean, honestly, I think we have an awesome EMS division.
Right.
We have a great turnover as far as recovery, revenue recovery. And I think it's an awesome agency to work for. Obviously, I'm a little biased, but but this is something that we're going to continue to fight. I mean, we try everything to keep them, you know, I think most people would rather patrol the hill towns than down in the city, but it's, you know, it's a lot of it comes down to the dollar.
Well, me being from down in the city, in a majority minority district, the fire department hasn't been big hires of people of color, blacks and browns. So I don't see these people being in the pool to be considered for EMT positions because of that mere fact. So I guess in order to beef up the EMT training, we'd have to make sure that the fire department also do the same likewise. So we all working for the same results. Am I right to say that?
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think if you talk to, well, I can name two right off the top of my head, Vivian Cornegay and Beverly Paget. Beverly and Vivian came to me, they had a couple young minorities that couldn't afford to be an EMT.
That's right.
And we were able to make it happen. We got them trained, and actually I just met the young lady the other night at the Albany Public Library. She works for Mohawk now.
Okay.
And she's hoping to come over to the county. So,
So something.
listen, it's really, recruitment's hard. I mean, we've gone out and we've spent thousands of dollars recruiting for deputies and COs.
Yeah.
And, you know, until there's a civil service change, we can continue to throw money out there, but the bottom line is, we've got to get folks to show up and take the test and pass the test.
Okay. Civil service change, big recruitment effort, more speaking about it, educating our community on what it takes to be a.
Look, I think
EMT
civil service
specialist.
is tough at some points, because some folks are just bad test takers.
Oh,
They
yeah.
could be excellent caregivers, but some folks are bad test takers. And when you lay the entire job, you know, qualification on passing that test,
Yes.
and it makes it
Makes
problematic.
it difficult, yeah. Thank you very much, sir.
Ally, did you have something?
I think Lucy probably pretty much covered it, also McLean Lane,
Yes.
14th District. Do you find it challenging that you're competing with other, you know, obviously the town of Colony, and there are a lot of municipalities that have large EMT, you know, are you're probably competing with all of the municipalities that have their own
We do,
departments.
but fortunately with us, as it is with many of the others, they'll come in and you'll work a 24-hour shift. We have like 85 or 90 of them. And everybody's like, oh my God, but you only may come in and work one 24-hour shift and then go to Colony PD or
I
Colony EMS and then go over to Greenwich and then go over to Greenport and Stockport and everywhere else. I mean, these guys are always bouncing all over the place.
That's interesting.
That's why it's always
Regional.
been one of my goals is to get the salary up where we can have, you know, full-timers and this is your only job. This is where you're gonna have your
Consistency.
priority. Yes.
Yes.
And also, when you start to put in a 24-hour shift here and a 24-hour shift there, let's face it, there's a chance for a fault, and that's the last thing that any of us want in the caregiver environment.
Burnout, okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. Mr. Mullin?
Sheriff, the salaries, who pays those? Do we pay them or do town municipalities pay them?
Towns and
Who sets
villages, towns and villages, well, the county will negotiate a contract and then that gets pushed back. The program is 100% funded by the towns.
So, and they're all, everything they do is billable.
Correct.
So why don't we just raise the salaries to be competitive, because it's billable anyway? It doesn't make sense to me why we're not at the top of the level for everything that, every time an ambulance goes out, they're making money. We can bill somebody for it. So, I mean, I don't, who's taking the extra money, the towns?
Well, there's no extra money. What happens here, and just if you can give me a second to explain. So if we negotiate a 2% increase, which is normal, that money gets pushed back to the towns. And our state has the tax cap. So any increase that we push back is automatically being fought back by the towns because it's going to limit their ability to do anything within the means of their budget.
No, but they're being, everything that the EMS do is being reimbursed.
Oh, no. No, we're reimbursed by the towns 100% for
Right.
any of our
But-
expenses.
But they're, who's doing the billing, when Gary goes in an ambulance ride from Bethlehem to St. Peters? Who gets billed?
We bill them, and that money comes back to the county. And a
Okay?
lot of that money goes towards, like, we're moving $60,000, I think, in the next committee to pay for AEDs that we bought.
Yeah, but I mean, there's gotta be, I mean, these ambulance rides are very, very expensive.
It can average anywhere from-
$1,000.
Well, it can, and typically it's anywhere from a few $100s, it could be as high as $1,500 for somebody from
Depends what
Rensselaerville.
they do,
It's
right.
by a billable mile,
Level.
it all depends if it's an EMT working on
Has
you or,
anybody done an audit of this, though, so we know why, to me, it doesn't make sense why we're not paying top dollar for EMS, or for the EMTs, because everything they do is billable,
well, it is, but you don't get 100% of that back.
even if you get 80.
But you do get, we have a very high percentage of revenue recovery, and that's what helps purchase the vehicles, helps purchase, stretchers, so hydraulic stretchers, so folks aren't picking up the stretchers, hurting their
Oh,
backs,
I know,
going
I
down
know.
on injury, AEDs.
Well, if Colony can be more expensive, to me, it doesn't make, if Colony can pay their people more money than we can, there's gonna be a reason for it.
Ally, you have?
Listen, I support it
And we're busy,
wholeheartedly.
and, well, it's something we should look at. And if you're saying we're busy.
We're
and
very
just as busy as Colony, and Colony's paying more, it shouldn't be, we should be.
We're rolling, sir, we're rolling on all the calls from Bethlehem, Queens, all the hill towns. And then we've always had the luxury of having the assistance from the volunteer corps. Rensselaerville folded up last year, Borisville folded up a year and a half ago. Who knows what's gonna
So
happen
those,
next?
the two county ambulances, when they run, we get all that money.
Yes, yes.
Are they always running 24 hours?
I have them out constantly.
So that's
Only,
even more money we have to work within the pool to give the EMTs more money to stay with you.
I think we projected this year of 250 to 300,000 coming back in, and it's only gonna grow, but you have to remember that if, I'll use an Esquithau for example, if an Esquithau rolls their ambulance, they're gonna be the ones billing. We may have an EMT on it, but they're the billable agency. You can't, a fly car can't bill.
Right.
So it's gotta be the transporting agency,
Right.
which many times is in fact another volunteer corps. Now, we have ambulances out, there's days where I have 2 or 3 ambulances out, and we're augmenting constantly. So it's picking up, but we can't do it without the assistance of the volunteer EMTs and paramedics. I mean, they're an invaluable resource that are on the verge of extinction.
Okay, we've got some other questions too. Ally, you have, and then I'm gonna go to Gil and Wanda. Okay, go ahead.
Just a very quick clarification. For example, I have certainly not been with the town for some time. It's been approximately 5 years and some change. I do remember, though, some time ago, I mean, they rode close to $1 million and certainly in a budget of that size, that's a significant amount of money. And because sometimes people are uninsured, sometimes they don't pay, sometimes the insurance company will not reimburse.
Right.
Sometimes you are paid a Medicaid fee that is much lower than your actual expenses are to provide that service. Certainly, that can be challenging. However, I think our sheriff probably knows much more about this, but it was just an experience I thought could help clarify maybe a little bit.
There's a lot of factors. When we first got involved, we were getting 15, 20,000. Then it went to 60, 80. This year, like I said, I think we're around a quarter to 300,000. It's going to grow and it's going to continue to grow because our ambulance is busy because there's no volunteers out there. And a lot of the volunteer organizations that are left have paid employees. So it's not really a volunteer organization. So I think it's going to continue to grow. Look, I wholeheartedly support.
It's gonna grow because everybody's getting older. Baby boomers like me are getting older every year.
Mr. Ethier.
Baby boomer.
Mr.
Oh,
Ethier.
he's 100%
You're up.
paid now.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sheriff, you mentioned you want to go outside the county for applicants. That's because we don't have enough from the county applicants.
Right.
Is it safe to say if you had county applicants, you would go with them first?
Oh, yeah, I've listed right in here. Obviously, that's my highest priority and our preference is the county residents, but I just don't have the interest, so
I
we have
understand
to.
that.
We have
Sometimes
to.
that calls for, but you would take county residents before you hire some from the outside.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, Ms. Willingham.
I have a question. How is it decided which ambulance is sent, whether a county ambulance is sent or, a municipality or private entity to a particular event? How is that,
Well-
who determines that?
What we have, ma'am, initially our agreement with the towns and that we serve is we provide fly cars. And we would hurry up and get an EMT or a paramedic to the scene, start life-saving measures, and then the volunteers would roll up with the ambulance, okay? But because many times the ambulances aren't getting out of the station for several minutes, we decided about 5 years ago to start, let's get an ambulance in service and see, how it goes. So we applied for a certificate of need, which is called a CON. We were approved, so we have an ambulance service, a county-wide ambulance service. So what we started to do is, because of the lack of volunteers and because some of these volunteer agencies were starting to fold, we started to add another ambulance. So like Rensselaerville, when they left, they turned their ambulances over to us. So we know there's no ambulance in that town. So now we keep an ambulance up on the backside of that mountain. So we know we can get there in a very efficient manner. Down on the bottom, like in the New Scotland area, we have an ambulance. We also have the luxury of having another ambulance at our station where the commanders, if they have to go out, get out of the office and go answer a call, they'll jump in an ambulance and go. So we primarily, to answer your point directly, our ambulances are in the areas that we contract with that do not have them anymore. That's our primary area. And then after that, we will augment the other agencies if they can't get out of the station.
Do I have a motion to move the sheriff's proposal? Second? Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Item 2, authorizing a waiver of the Albany County residency requirement regarding employment with the Albany County Legislature. I want to move to table this, given that there was no sponsor on the resolution, and I want to ensure that moving forward, there should be a sponsor in every resolution that's presented to us. So I look for a motion to table.
I make a motion to table.
Second. All in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. Motion to adjourn?
Oh, I have one more thing.
Okay.
I did send out an email to all of you, asking you about if there are any issues that you want us to particularly take up in this committee. During the course of the year, there's some things in the news that we might want to have some. Anyway, so just continue to send things to me that you're interested in, and I'll keep a list and we can see how we can address them.
And for all those folks watching, be sure to tell your friends on social media that this kind of thing is available. All the committee meetings and legislative meetings in the legislature, we need to get that word out. Because if we do, more people are going to be informed. Okay, thank you. A motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you.